Rams fans, welcome in on this edition of Rams Showcase. The Rams season is over. Now, who stays and who goes? Plus, uniform updates possibly on the way, but how did we do in our current digs? And later, fire away, it's Fan Quesos. Let's rock.
We here, man. We gotta take advantage of victory on one, boys. Let's go.
This is Rams Showcase. And now your host, Sheriff Joe Baggs.
Yes, welcome to it, Rams Showcase. My name's Sheriff Joe Baggs. Shout out Summer Justice, helping me out on the intro there. Socials will be in the description below, no matter where you can hear or see me. Make sure you follow along on socials at Sheriff Joe Baggs, at Rams Showcase, and ramshowcase.com, which I am anticipating a lot more attention going to ramshowcase.com as this offseason begins. That is something that I was disappointed in myself. In the lack of Ram Showcase-ness, ramshowcase.com-ness. But I do want to make it a point to go ahead and just give that the proper attention that it does deserve. And, well, it's because I'm alone here. So I got to just buckle down and just get some stuff done. So that's headed your way, as well as some fun off-season projects that I'm working on. I don't want to give it too much away right now because I'm not sure actually what order and when things are going to get released, but I'm getting production plans in place right now and hopefully some pretty sweet stuff. And we are going to transition into the off-season schedule for Ram Showcase, which means that we will be a little bit more sporadic, not weekly, but I do want to go more than I have in the previous 2 or 3 off-seasons or so, and just keep action rolling. Speaking of action rolling, Tuna and the Sheriff, that is right now, it is every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 a.m. LA time. I'm going to talk to Tuna because I'm going to need some scheduling changes. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen with that. We also did start a Patreon for that show. So details headed your way. I don't even have them yet. It's all Tuna's got all the info. So when I know, I'll let you know. We'll be cooking in that department. So that's good news. But make sure you check us out there. That is broadcast live on the Ram Showcase Facebook page, as well as the First and Tuna Podcast YouTube channel. Hoping to start up a page on ramshowcase.com as well, where you can just find those embedded there. You can just go to those pages and then be able to check out those videos there, as well as the podcast. Which small update, not going to change anything for you, but no longer connected to the fan-sided network, solely Sports War Radio, back into your soul. So that's good news as well. We'll get into Fan Quesos on the back end here, but I do want to talk about a few things here. Mainly, I'm going to give my Who Stays, Who Goes. I love this segment. Every year I do this one, and I'm usually pretty off. But you know what? I'm feeling good this time around, all right? I've considered more things than just my own personal opinions this time around. Probably the first time we've done that. So I think that I've studied the Rams enough, I think, to try to figure out what I think that they're going to do. So we'll get into that. But depending on where you look, Rams currently heading into the offseason going to have about $56.3 million in cap space. But that is very dependent on where you look. These numbers are different depending on what websites you use. I've heard all the way down as low as 38, but I've also heard as high as 63. So it really does depend on where you look at. But I want you to know that no matter where you're looking, just please understand that all those numbers that we have access to, they're estimates, all right? Those are not official numbers. Official numbers are kept under lock and key under the NFL. We will never get the official cap numbers in like the real hardcore. We get the information from like press releases and stuff like that about contracts and how they're structured and how they're set up and stuff like that. But there's too many moving pieces to know exactly down to the nickel what teams are dealing with financially. And that's why you get those discrepancies on different websites. Some will account for this guarantee being in there, but then some will say like that's not technically a fully guarantee. That's something that, may not trigger. So they're not going to put it in there, stuff like that. It all just depends. So again, none of the numbers that we will have access to are official numbers. Just know the Rams got money to spend, but there's a few different moving pieces to that aspect as well, because not only do the Rams have money to spend, but they got a lot of guys to potentially bring back, and not just this year. We got to start financially peeking into the future when guys like Puka Nacua, Jared Verse, we did Quentin Lake, but we got a bunch of young guys that could potentially be getting big paydays. A lot of those are up front on the defense, but on the offensive side as well. Obviously, Kyron Williams, but does Blake Corum stay? Obviously, I mentioned Puka Nacua. a bunch of offensive linemen. We're going to need to do some shakeups there eventually. So I actually feel pretty good financially where the Rams are sitting heading into the 2026 offseason. But just keep that in mind that there are going to be players that take a big chunk out of that. And Puka Nacua is probably one of them, but we also kind of have this little thing in our head about Puka Nacua where we feel like he's not going to want to go anywhere. But who knows, dude? Who knows, man? I love the fact that Devontae was telling him, like, it's not better anywhere else, man. Just stay here if you can. So I've seen it on the other side, man. You don't want to deal with that, which I do appreciate because that could very well help the Rams financially when it comes to getting that deal done with Puka Nacua. But he's not even invested right here, so we'll see. And then as far as starters go, we actually don't have that many that are projected to depart. And the starters that we do have that are potentially projected to depart, we either feel good about them coming back, at least I do, or we already have legitimate replacements on the roster for them. And I'm mainly talking about Rob Havenstein, Tyler Higbee. We got Cam Curl, Roger McCreary, and I'm also tossing in Kobe Durant into that starter role. So let's go ahead and get into it. Who stays and who goes? These are just expiring contracts. I'll have a little tag at the very end here of guys that I think that they are still under contract, but that I think that the Rams may move on from. But let's go ahead and get into it. This list here is going to be your UFAs, your unrestricted free agents, meaning that if the Rams do not get any deals done with these gentlemen by the time it's, I think, March 15 is the league year, if I'm not mistaken, then it's 1 p.m. LA time that just, boom, contracts are over, and those are free agents now, free to sign anywhere. And then obviously you get the legal tampering period before that. Legal tampering is one of those terms that it's like, that's not for real. That's you can't legally tamper. That's an illegal act. What are you talking about? Either way. So we could know where some of these guys are headed before we get to that deadline, but either way. Let's go ahead and start with right tackle Rob Havenstein, one of the very few remaining St. Louis Rams, even in the NFL still, and has only played for the Rams. He will be 34 by the time the next season starts. And as a 34-year-old, I'll tell you, I mean, if he feels like me, it's probably retirement time. But he's also a professional athlete. I am not. So I would imagine that he feels better than me. I would hope so, at least. And with that being said, I don't know if he could return or if he would return, especially if he goes to a different team. But I think that he goes. I'm going to go ahead and say that Rob Havenstein leaves and doesn't return to the Rams. Possibility that he retires, but like I said, that's a hard one to answer. Because also you got to think with family and stuff like that, is it going to be one of those things where it's like, well, it's going to be 1 or 2 seasons. Do we want to move or do we just call it we're good kind of thing? So either way, big Rob Havenstein. Don't want to see him go, honestly. But I do think that this kind of does feel like a move that the Rams would make to go ahead and not bring back big Rob Havenstein. Next up, tight end Tyler Higbee. He was drafted in 2016 with Jared Goff. That was part of the first draft class when the Rams returned to Los Angeles, but he had the lowest snap percentage of all tight ends that the Rams have throughout the playoffs. He was always getting the fewest reps, and that's behind Terrence Ferguson, Colby Parkinson, as well as Davis Allen. Tyler Higbee was the least used tight end in that grouping, and he was also healthy. So for that reason, I do think that Tyler Higbee goes. I do think that the Rams would feel comfortable enough with their grouping that they would be okay to move on from Tyler Higbee, who I also don't know if he would call it or go on somewhere else. I do kind of get the feeling that he would go on somewhere else and maybe spend, 2 to 3 seasons on a different team as he wraps up his NFL career. But I do anticipate that Tyler Higbee is gone from the Rams. Next up, wide receiver Tutu Atwell. He has been inactive the last 2 playoff games. That's the divisional round in Chicago and the NFC Championship game in Seattle. Did not play, and he was a healthy scratch for both of those. He signed that 1-year, $10 million fully guaranteed contract last offseason. I do not anticipate something similar happening this year. I do anticipate that Tutu Atwell will be on a different football team. I'm going to say that he goes. Cam Curl, he is an absolute tackle machine. He was all over the place all the time, solo tackles, top tier. And as far as the Rams secondary goes, I like the Rams safeties a lot. And one of those being Cam Curl. He is one of the reasons I'm a fan of this grouping. I'm going to go ahead and say that Cam Curl stays. I think that the Rams are going to want to try to make some changes in the secondary, but I don't think you want to do a full overhaul. that's kind of tough business, especially for a guy like Aubrey Pleasant to get a whole new group in to try to coach those guys up. And Aubrey Pleasant was getting interviewed for the Chargers DC job. Don't know where that's at. Not sure what's going to happen there. They did get their OC figured out, but I'm still not sure what's going to happen with Aubrey. Hope he's back with us because I love Aubrey Pleasant. But I do think that there is something to be said about some continuity in the secondary. For that reason, I'm going to say that Cam Curl stays. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy G spent the last 2 years as QB2 for the Los Angeles Rams, and he's getting not necessarily totally up there in age, but to the point where I'm not sure if there's a team that would bring him in as a starter. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and say that Jimmy Garoppolo stays. I think that the Rams are really comfortable having him as QB2, and just that tag all the time of having, Matthew Stafford getting older and stuff like that. And it's been fine. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo literally threw 0 passes this year. So it's been okay. QB2 has been irrelevant, which is what we want. But when it is necessary, like in training camp, it was good to have a veteran in there. And I think that the Rams are going to try to continue that trend. And I'm going to say that Jimmy Garoppolo stays, although I do think it's totally realistic that he could leave as well. But I'm going to say that he stays and backs up Matthew Stafford, and then we see kind of a QB room overhaul after that. But that's just my guess. We'll get into who stays, who goes next year, and probably talk about Jimmy Garoppolo once again. Left tackle, DJ Humphries. He did come in for A.J. Jackson on injury for a game and didn't look super great in that start, but he is a very good player. My prediction is still that he goes. I just don't think that the Rams are going to keep him around. The depth is very important for the Rams on the offensive line. They don't like to see a big drop off there. That's where you get like Warren McClendon just earning that job essentially at right tackle. And DJ Humphries did the opposite of that. So we were really itching to get AJ Jackson back, and you could tell when he did. So for that reason, I'm going to say that DJ Humphries goes. Next up, cornerback Roger McCreary. McCreary added late to the Los Angeles Rams, and being that he was a starter for some of these later games, and in fairness, a little bit of a surprise to me. I felt like D. Will and Forbes was really going to be the true combo, but McCreary was getting a lot of starts in there late season, especially in the playoffs. So for that reason, I'm going to say that Roger McCreary is one of the corners that stays. I think that the Rams are going to try to work with him and see what he can pull into the 26 season. Right tackle, David Quesenberry. He showed up to the Rams. He's been a starter for most of his career, but of course he was a backup for last year. Didn't really get a lot of eyeballs on Quesenberry. Obviously, we did in preseason, but as far as in season, not a good look at him necessarily. I think it's completely realistic that he does stay around, but my prediction is that he goes. I think that the Rams are going to try to get a little bit of a youth movement in a few different position groups, and backup lineman, I think, is a little bit of one of them. All right, we're going to kind of phase out some of the old guys, some of the grays out here, and get a little bit younger in that room. Next up, cornerback Akello Witherspoon. He ended the season on IR, which is rather unfortunate. Witherspoon's been pretty streaky. He's had games where he does really, really well. He's had games where he's looked a little bit rough, and sometimes that's in the same game. Sometimes he makes a play, you're like, that's unbelievable. And then the next drive, he makes a play, and you're like, bro, keep up with that guy. What are you doing? So I'm going to say that Akello Witherspoon goes, and I think that this is just a casualty of the Rams wanting some fresh blood in the cornerback room. And I mean, I have nothing negative to say about Akello Witherspoon, but I'm just not sure how well he fits in with our team. I like Akello. I think he's a good player, but overall, I just feel like we're itching for a little bit more production out of that room. And Akello's kind of the perfect guy to look at and say, like, see, this guy is like, he's good, but he's not good enough. Like him as a depth piece, but he kind of also feels like a starter. I don't know, man. I'm going to guess that he goes. Long snapper, Jake McQuaid. I'm going to say that he stays, but only for one more season. He did turn 38 recently. Long snapper is not a position that you get super beat up in, so that's good news. But, I mean, you're making tackles on punts and stuff like that, so it's certainly a thing. But ultimately, 38's not too old to be a long snapper. I'm just not sure how much he wants to play, and that's really it. So it does kind of come down to, I think that if he wants to play, he does stick around. And if he wants to retire, then obviously we'll be looking for a new long snapper. Word on the streets, Alex Ward's looking for a job, but I'm going to guess that's a no. Just a hunch. Next up, we're going to go tight end Nick Vanette. I'm going to guess that he stays, but I think that's largely because I feel like Tyler Higbee goes, and I think that they'll want to keep a good chunk of bodies in the tight end room. So for that reason, I'm going to say that Nick Vanette stays. Linebacker Troy Reeder. Man, this is quite the anomaly of a human being, Troy Reeder. And you know what? Like I said, man, I'm not going off my personal opinions on this one. I'm going based off of what I think the Rams are going to do. So for that reason, I'm just going to say he stays, man. Like, why? What proof do we have? What evidence do we have to say that the Rams don't want Troy Reeder back? I don't think there's any evidence of that at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and guess that he stays because obviously, naturally. Next up, running back Ronnie Rivers. I'm going to guess that Ronnie Rivers takes off, and the Rams did waive Ronnie. He was kind of out there as a free agent, brought him back on a practice squad. Then Jarquez Hunter wasn't necessarily. We don't know what happened with him for his rookie year. I'm guessing it was one of those things of like, we got Kyron and Blake. We don't need to have Hunter be this guy yet. Like, learn all year, man. So I do anticipate that Hunter will get some more action this season. But Rivers, who I'm a big fan of, Mr. Rivers, I do think that he goes, and I think that he gets picked up somewhere else. Next up, cornerback Kobe Durant. Kobe Durant has been another streaky player. He's got moments where he looks absolutely phenomenal. He makes these plays that you're like, man, who does that, man? And then he's got plays where he just he doesn't seem like he can keep up with even not the fastest wide receivers in the league. So it's rather unfortunate. But Kobe Durant is a guy that I do think goes. I just think that he's going to be able to get better offers elsewhere, and I think that his agent will guide him into that because I don't think the Rams would be willing to pay as many dollars as maybe some other teams would. So I'm going to say he goes. Next up also, cornerback Darian Kendrick, DK, did return to the Rams this season after spending some time in Seattle, had an interception up there at some point. That was pretty early, week 1 or 2, something like that, but ultimately got waived and then picked up by the Rams on his second stint back. But I'm just going to say that he goes. That's just my prediction here. The Rams, I do feel like we're going to get a little bit of an overhaul in the cornerback room. And a big part of that, I mean, it's just because we very well know that is the weakness of the Rams. And I mean, let's call it what it is, man. It cost us probably a shot at a Super Bowl. The secondary alone, I think, did. So that's unfortunate, but I do think that with that being said, that Rams House said it on First Down Rams with Payo Time, that it makes sense that like the Rams all going into the offseason last year, the thing was we need to be able to stop the run. Like that killed us. And then the Rams did make moves, very specific moves for that reason, which was Nate Landman, Poona Ford, making moves to address that weakness specifically. And for this season, I do think that that's the secondary. I think that Rams House is absolutely right, that it's just too loud, too obvious, too very blatant in front of us what the weakness is. So let's go make that spot better. And for that reason, I think Darian Kendrick leaves, as well as some other corners, of course, like we had mentioned. These are your restricted free agents. That means that the Rams could place a tender on these players, and then they have the right to negotiate with another team, and then the Rams have the right to match that offer that those other teams give them based on the tender that the Rams put on that player. So if it's a first round tender, second round, third round, whatever, and then what happens is if that other team ends up offering a contract and the Rams don't want to match it, they sign that player, and the tender that the Rams put on that player, they receive from that team. So that team can't even make an offer if they don't have that pick. So if the Rams put a third round tender on one of these linebackers that we'll talk about, and there's a team that doesn't have a third round pick, I don't know fully how it all works in that situation, but I know the Rams would need to recoup a third if that were the case. So talking about these guys, it's linebacker Keir Thomas. I'm going to go ahead and guess that he does leave. Keir Thomas just has been kind of just a bit of a background kind of piece in this defense, not necessarily a piece that the Rams have been building on or towards or anything. So I'm going to guess that he goes. And then also linebacker Nick Hampton, who I am a big fan of, but I do think that he takes off. And I think that it's because the Rams edge rushing group the group that he's in with Jared Verse, Byron Young, Josiah Stewart. I just think that those names are probably, I don't want to say daunting to Nick Hampton. I don't think any of these players would not go to a team because of or want to leave a team because of the roster. I would hope not. At least, it's like when people talk about like coaching and the coaching carousel and stuff like that, it's like, well, I would go with this team because look at your division. And it's like, what a lame outlook. What a lame way to approach things. Like, oh, I want this job because it looks like the easiest. It's like, no, man, but that team has Lamar Jackson on it. Like that's the better job, man. Or Josh Allen, man. Some of these jobs that have popped up and people are like, I don't know, man, Atlanta, because you play against the Saints twice. And it's like, what a lame, weak way to look at the world, man. I want the easiest path. I don't want to try hard at all. I don't know. But Nick Hampton, I do think that he goes. And I think that would be not necessarily it's too hard to make it here kind of thing, but in more of a way of like, let's go get some reps, bro. Let's go fight and compete somewhere where we can make sure that we're actually on a football field on Sundays. And then next up here, this section is our exclusive rights free agents, meaning that the Rams can offer league minimum and these guys can't go anywhere else. They can offer more than league minimum, but that is the requirement based on the year. The number does change based on your like accrued seasons on what the league minimum is for a veteran. But so these guys, again, they could offer the league minimum and then they can't even do anything about it. They just have to accept it, I guess. But one of those is going to be guard Justin Dedich. Definitely played plenty of reps in place of an injured Kevin Dotson in that later portion of the season. And I'm going to go ahead and guess that he stays. I think that the Rams can get him cheap enough that they'll want him back, especially for that again, that second string, that backup rotational offensive line. He fits in really well into that. So I do think that he sticks around. Next up, kicker Harrison Mevis. An ERFA, meaning that the Rams can get him at league minimum. And for a kicker who is, I think, a rookie, that number is pretty low. I would hope we don't do that to him because he's a human and stuff. But either way, I do think that Harrison Mevis does stay. I think that he showed enough, missing just one kick as a member of the Rams after, the Rams decided to move on from Josh Carty. I think that we have no reason to move on from Mevis or try somebody else, I think is my ultimate point there. So if Mevis doesn't come back, then I would assume that it's because special teams coordinator kind of has their eyes on somebody, new special teams coordinator, which we are waiting to get news on a hire there. But I just think that Mevis, he did so well that I don't understand why anybody wouldn't want him back, especially when you can get him real cheap. Might as well, right? And then last here on the ERFAs is going to be wide receiver Xavier Smith. First of all, I'm going to tag this. I'm going to preface this by saying y'all are weird for hopping into Xavier Smith's DMs and tweeting at him. The things that I've seen are crazy. Stop it, people. Oh my gosh. What are you doing? He is a human being, and that's absolutely absurd, man. He had one fumble on the whole season. Sure, it was in a terrible spot and probably shifted the momentum in an incurable way in Seattle. It sucked what happened that he dropped that ball. Absolutely big time bummers. But to threaten this man is insane activities. Anyway, that being said, Xavier Smith, he had one big mistake this year. Ultimately, though, I think that he fits in really well as a rotational wide receiver and solid kick returner and punt returner. Call it what it is, man. Xavier Smith, X, you're going to give it to you. He's awesome, man. I'm going to say that Xavier Smith stays, and I understand that the second that potentially happens, if that news drops, that we're going to see a wave of ridiculous social media stuff, and I'm here to tell you that y'all are being weird. This is a human being. Chill out. Okay? Holy moly. Next up here, I'm just going to give a little bit of a list here of other names that are on the roster right now that I think could leave, could get cut. Okay? We're going to start with center, Bo Limmer. All right? Bo Limmer started at center for the Rams the entirety of the 24 season and then was a backup. Pretty much Philadelphia didn't do good in the playoffs. And so we brought back Coleman Shelton, and Bo Limmer was largely inactive. I'm going to say that I think that the Rams could move on from him. Tight end, Davis Allen. I'm going to put him on this list. It's not because I want to see him go or anything like that, or that I think that the Rams are itching to move on from him. just feels like a guy that might just take off, might just go somewhere else, man. Might get packaged in a trade, or he's just going to be like our best tight end next year. Because that sometimes happens when I think a guy's going to go. Quarterback Stetson Bennett, Benatar. I think that he could potentially be on his way out. He's like 28 years old, which is not crazy at all, but there's also no reason to move on from him. So I don't know, man, but he just feels like one of those guys where he might be like, I want to go be QB2 somewhere, especially if Jimmy G does come back like I have predicted. Outside linebacker Byron Young. I'm going to say this name in here just because it just feels like the Rams could potentially be one of those sell high kind of guys when it comes to Byron Young. I don't want Byron Young to leave. I think that Byron Young is absolutely awesome, but I think the emergence of Josiah Stewart is going to make the Rams try to make some decisions here. And if Byron Young does stick around, dollar bills are going to be big, man. So if we can move off of Byron Young before he gets that contract extension, the Rams could recoup, or before he wants the contract extension and we just let him walk in free agency. You can recoup something back for him. You could probably get a 2 for Byron Young, and then you don't have to lose a bunch of those dollars. That money can go elsewhere. Jared Verse, obviously. And yes, Jared Verse is the better player. I still am going to, you can throw whatever stat you need at me, but I'm still going to say that Jared Verse is the better player. I think that he will kind of settle into his own. Athletically, he's just too insane not to, I think. So, and too driven, I think. So, and then last up here, I'm going to go with cornerback Emmanuel Forbes, as well as cornerback Darius Williams. It does seem like, even though these guys are under contract right now, that the Rams may be making some decisions when it comes to the cornerback room. I think that we see that room look very different. So keep that going for us. Let's see here. Let's get into our uniform talk here, because the Rams rumors are saying that the Rams are going to have applied for new uniforms next year. Unconfirmed, but we feel really good about it. It does feel like a very real thing. So new uniforms next year, still technically officially a rumor. But this year, the Rams wore 6 different uniform combinations. The combos that we did not see were bone on royal, bone on soul, and royal on royal. We did not see the royal on royal outside of preseason. We did see it in preseason, but that was the only spot. So let's take a look at the combos here. White on soul. We saw the Rams go 2-1 in this combo, played Houston, Tampa Bay, and Carolina in the white on soul. Carolina was the regular season. And then white on royal, 5-1 for white on royal. The only loss coming as the NFC Championship game against the Seahawks, but we saw that all throughout the playoffs. Also saw it in Jacksonville and London, San Francisco, and then in Arizona as well. Royal on soul, classic combo, the legendary combo there. 3-2 for the Rams there. We saw Philadelphia, Indy, New Orleans, Seattle, and Arizona for that combo. Royal on bone, only 2 times. I really feel like the bone's getting phased out here, man. San Fran and Detroit were the only ones that saw the royal on bone. And then bone on bone, which is something that we've seen when the Rams wear bone jersey. They pretty much always wear bone pants now. And we saw that against Tennessee, Baltimore, and Atlanta. That Atlanta game probably being the final time we see the bone jersey anywhere. And then rivalries, obviously 1-0. We saw those against Seattle. We'll see what happens next year. Could be Seattle, could be San Fran, could be Arizona. Feels to me like the Rams will pick one of each, one a season for those. And not go Seattle again is what I mean. So I think that next year we'll see either Arizona or San Fran, and the following year the other one. Just feels like something the Rams would do, which is choose all 3 separate opponents. The only rules for the rivalries are you have to wear them at home, in your own home stadium, not just a home game, in your own home stadium and against a division opponent, and only once per year. But it could be, we could do Seattle all 3 years if we wanted to, but I just don't think that that's what we would see. But most used combo, white on royal, really interesting. Most used combo, in my opinion, the white on royal. That just doesn't seem like a legendary Rams combo, although I do love it. That's the thing. But it did appear in all 3 Rams postseason games, and it figures it would have been the Super Bowl combo. Figures it would have been, but we'll never know. What does bum me out about the Super Bowl is both teams wearing same color jersey and pants. So that's fun. I hate that. Oh, yeah. But that is our uniforms. We'll see what happens this next season, man. I'm on a bit of a hiring freeze, I guess you can call it, for new jerseys right now, because I'm waiting to see what happens. Sounds like a logo shift is happening, like a minor logo shift. Like it'll be largely the same, but we'll get a little bit of adjustment there, and then new uniforms, which we'll see. And then, my camera decided it wanted to give me a break here. So we're going to take a quick break. And on the other side, we'll get into fan quesos. It's right here on Ram Showcase. Welcome back in Ram Showcase. My name's Sheriff Joe Baggs. Let's head over and check out our fan quesos as posted on the Ram Showcase Facebook page and YouTube channel. And then I share it to my own personal Facebook page as well. That's where I usually get Edwin's questions at. So whatever works, you can add me on Facebook. Internet's not a real place. So, I mean, all I do is post about the Rams there anyway. It's kind of funny that people were like, I was talking to one of my like old friends and she's like, you seen anybody? I was like, no, not right now. She's like, you just need like a Rams girl. And I was like, what do you mean by that? She's like, well, that's like all you care about, right? It was like, well, I mean, sure. But also I've got other interests. Like I love metal music. I have a full-time job that has nothing to do with sports. I mean, there's other things about me. I think whatever, it works. Still, she's kind of right though too. That's the worst part. But yeah, that's it's just not real. No, I don't get personal on Facebook. You're not gonna see politics or anything really else except for Rams. It's my Rams machine. That's all it is. Let's see here. These first few coming from Edwin. Emphasis on the win. Says, dude, what a heartbreaker. You ain't lying, man. You ain't lying. Says, I was not ready to watch our season end there, but I enjoyed every minute of it. Shout out, dude. Shout out. Yeah, this was a fun season, actually. And just as a football fan in general, I think that this season was very, very fun. Very crazy. It's just unfortunate that this Rams team is a team that I don't feel like ever hit its potential. Even in the blowout wins that we had, Tampa Bay or Jacksonville, stuff like that, it still felt like those teams were also just bummers that day. But the Rams just never really hit that full stride like we were anticipating. So, but really fun season overall. I had a blast. I've got, great Rams groups out here that are super fun to be around and stuff. So, yeah, man, no complaints except for, that last one. Number one here from Edwin. Says, what was your favorite game of the season and what was your least favorite? Great question. I would say my favorite game of the season is probably week 1 against the Houston Texans. I don't know, man. That was just a fun game for me. Houston coming into the year, feeling like they're a good football team. And it's one of those things you come in at 0-0 and everybody's like, we scored 17 points and everybody's like, this offense can't even move, dude. But then like Houston averages like 17.2 a game that they gave up. It's like, we actually did all right. All right. So there's that. But I think that was my favorite game. And we saw just so many different things in that game. We didn't really see Devontae do Devontae things, but like we got that Landman punch and stuff like that. And it kind of felt like it was like, okay, we can do this year. And yeah, that was a fun one. But my least favorite, oh man, that's pretty, I would say Philly. Philly was my least favorite one. And it's because, and you could say this for Seattle too, and it's because I felt like we were dominating so hard. And then we just kind of like went soft on them and they came back, and that's lame. I hate to see that. So yeah, that Philly one and that one being so early was like, all right, this one could hurt us, and I mean, Philly, they were a playoff team. Not obviously to the same level that they were at. Yo, speaking of Philly, Sean Mannion is their offensive coordinator now. I can't believe I didn't mention that earlier, dude. That's crazy. He was the quarterbacks coach of the Packers last year. Now he's the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. Sean Mannion, Oregon State Rams backup. Sean Mannion is an OC. Dang. He's balding though. That's kind of crazy. I don't know. That's not relevant, but it is true. Anyway. Yeah, that was my least favorite. Philly that one sucked. And also, I can't stand them. I can't stand them. Like, there's like, we all hate our division rivals. There's something to be said, though, about Philadelphia. I can't stand that guy. I hate that Bob Barker, That's how I feel about them. Number 2, AD said if they would have allowed him to play in the fourth quarter of the NFC Championship game, he would have. How do you think he would have impacted the game? Obviously, extremely hard to tell. But it does feel like he could have done some damage, man. Like, it feels like he would have been the one to just like destroy Sam Darnold at some point and just like, or like he would like tip a ball that would be like, oh my gosh. I think that what would have ultimately happened is that we would see him out there and be like, oh, I remember this. I remember this feeling. I remember watching this guy destroy souls, I truly do think that like we would have noticed it right away. We would have been like, oh, this is what it's like to have a first ballot Hall of Famer on your defense. Nice, because I'm just not sure we do right now. And we don't have anybody that's like, oh, this guy's going to make a play. Like that clip of Sean McVay in the Super Bowl where he's like, Aaron's going to make a play. Aaron's going to make a play. And he does. We don't have that guy right now. We don't have a guy who's like, oh, obviously this guy's going to make a play. We have it on offense for sure. It's Puka. Puka's going to make a play. But on defense, we don't have that guy right now that's like, oh, obviously this guy just steps it up and does not let this play happen like Aaron Donald used to. So that is unfortunate. But I do think we would have noticed right away. Even if they would have been like avoiding him and stuff like that, it would have been one of those things. So I feel like I think I got allergies. I don't think I'm sick. I'm pretty sure it's allergies. But I also don't really get allergies. I'm very confused at what's happening to my face right now. Moving on. Number 3, I truly believe Stafford is coming back to get another ring next year. But if he decides to retire, who would you like to see the Rams get to be the next quarterback of the LA Rams? Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm surprised retirement's such a conversation when it comes to Stafford. I understand like his age and stuff like that, and it's like kind of just the thing that happens when you get to your when you get like above 35, everybody's like, you done? It's like, well, no. Like, so I don't know, man. I don't see him leaving. I would actually be a little surprised if he did. I'll be completely real. I think that he likes the fact that his daughters are like getting to the age where they'll remember watching him be an NFL quarterback. And I think that adding another year to that, getting them 1 year older, I think works. I think that that's cool. So I do think he returns. If I were to answer your question though, I mean, that's very difficult because it's who knows, man. But I do think that the Rams would make a trade for a veteran. I'm just not sure who they would go for. That's my biggest thing. I really need to think about other teams and just where they're headed kind of thing. Cause there's teams out there like Joe Burrow is one of those where it's like, everybody knows Joe Burrow is super dope, but his team is kind of a bummer. And so it's like, kind of like Matthew, it's like, let's save this guy, bring him over to the light side here and save this guy. So yeah, there's like Burrow. I would have put Trevor Lawrence into that category, who I do think the Rams would want if available. I'm just not sure Liam Cohen would be willing to give him up now after this year. Trying to think of some other places. Obviously, nobody that gets a job for like Baltimore would be willing to move on from Lamar and stuff like that. We could see... Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm sitting right now is like those kind of names, but that's a tough one to answer, just not knowing if it even matters. I think ultimately is like, does it even matter? Do we need to think about who our next quarterback is yet? Or do we have a whole nother season with the guy with a rocket launcher attached to his torso, hucking balls at 17 and 12, So let's see here. I wanted to say thank you, Sheriff, for the amazing content this season. You always made Rams Game Day more exciting with your weekly Rams shoecase segment and the Carl Cam. I know you have some cool things you're working on, and I'm here for all of it. Go Rams, go Joe. Go Edwin, man. I truly appreciate you, man. That's very kind of you, man. This show has guided me to meet so many incredible people. That, I mean, this is not me like signing off or anything, but like the people I've been able to meet through doing Ram Showcase is absolutely unbelievable. The opportunities that I've been afforded, I mean, it's hard to even mention, man. Like the gratitude is off the charts. And there's plenty more to come. So super excited. I still feel like I'm like an infant in my Rams coverage. You know what I mean? Like I'm just a toddler at this point, trying to still grow and get better at this and also get into new areas with this as well. And I think that you'll see some of that in some of my off-season projects, man, that I'm trying to do some other stuff. I'm trying to not just sit here and say this team was 12th in this and this team was 12th and like that's fun. Don't get me wrong. I love doing this show. I have nothing bad to say about Ram Showcase, but But there is sometimes where it's like, oh, what else can I do? There's so many aspects to covering sports that are really fun. I want to get back into game trailers. I don't know if you remember me when I did those. I'm working on literal documentaries right now, like storytelling, full-on documentaries that I'm just creating here by myself. It's really fun. So I might ask for some help on some of those. Depends. I'll reach out if I want it. All right. But yeah, truly, man, thank you. I truly appreciate you, man. It's been quite the journey, man. But yeah, we're still so new. That's the thing. Still so new. We're still at the beginning, man. Let's head over to the YouTube channel here. Get quesos here. Oh, we got not that many. Okay. No worries. Ram Showcase or that's me. Ram's house wasn't here. I don't know. It's Thursday. It's a weird day. Okay, in fairness, I did that. I was the weird one. Okay. We're gonna start with Payo time. Payo, make sure you follow there. Serious question. Okay, serious. How would you describe the LA Rams fandom, aka Ramley, now versus 2016 when they first moved back to LA? You have commented on this before, but I feel like it's been a while since you've talked about how it's growing. That's a solid question, man. Yeah, it is still growing, which is very fun. The fact too that the Rams are just being in playoff games and stuff like that, absolutely massive. It would go a long way if we could get a playoff game at SoFi again, get those kids and stuff like that are local into the stadium instead of it just being on TV and like this like far away thing. I remember watching NFL as a kid and it just like feeling like those guys were just like these out of reach monsters, superheroes, these like you could never interact with them kind of thing, and like these stadiums were always too far away for me to ever get to and stuff like that. And then I grew up a little bit and it's like, oh, okay, hold on. Like, this is kind of cool. But for those local kids, man, I mean, going to a playoff game and seeing that atmosphere and feeling that and seeing the lights and all that stuff and that high flying action, man, I think that could really settle it in. But to answer your question, 2016 to now, it's been 10 years. And I've been saying that I think it's going to take a solid 20 to really reestablish back in Los Angeles. And I still feel that way. Still feels a lot like the average other fan kind of feels like the Rams are not still settled in LA as far as like a fan base and like all that stuff goes. So unfortunate, but whatever. I mean, it just kind of feels to me like Rams fans are so spread out because they have called so many different cities home. I'm in Colorado, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of far away from everything, but obviously there's plenty in the Midwest. I mean, I know plenty of people that switched away from the Rams when they left California just because of their California ties and stuff like that. So I don't know. I still feel like it's going to take a full 20 years to like really be back in Los Angeles and really be like, this is our team again, which is about how long the Rams were in St. Louis. I just think that you need to kind of get that era a little bit out of people's minds just a little bit. Not that I have anything negative to say about St. Louis or that era or anything like that, but I think ultimately going back to Los Angeles was right or wrong. I don't think that the St. Louis time is like bad or anything like that. That's where I became a Rams fan, was when the Rams were in St. Louis. So that being said, it just feels like it's kind of a weird blip in the history of the Rams that is always going to be kind of viewed as like yeah, they were the St. Louis Rams for a little while. That was weird, huh? Like, I really feel that way. So I guess we'll see. But it is growing. But yeah, it's just going to take more time. It's only been 10 years, man. It's like you think about a kid who was, 5 years old when the Rams showed up. He's still only 15, man. Like, he may not be like fully there yet. You know what I mean? Like, or somebody who's 10, they're turning 20 now, with the Rams being back, and it's like now it's like, oh man, this is really fun. Let's go to a game. Like, let's get the bros together and hop in and stuff like that. It's like that's kind of needs to be that thing. Let's see here. This one coming from Porter. Why we lost defense or special teams or both? For me, I gotta say special teams. Why we lost defense or special teams or both? Oh, okay, I got you. Why did we lose? Special teams or defense? I'll start. I'll answer your question, but I'm going to say it doesn't matter. The Rams lost as a team. I do truly believe that Rams offense could have done better. Special teams obviously could have done better. Defense obviously could have done better. I mean, there's too many. It's a team effort, always. I will never blame one person, group, or side for a loss because there's always that thing, too, of like, well, could have put up more points. I mean, we only have 13 at halftime. Feels like we should be higher scoring than that myself. But no, I would say, you say special teams. I'm going to say defense just couldn't get off the field when it really mattered the most. Yeah, that special teams play sucked, but the defense let them score right away after that. So I don't know, man. It's like, yeah, I mean, we can play the blame game all we want to, but I mean, what good does it do? If I give you an answer and I give a legitimate answer on whose fault it was, I mean, what does that do? I mean, I don't know, man. It's not, I'm not trying to like trash your question or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. We didn't win. We didn't win. Sean McVay. It's a little bit Chase Blackburn still somehow. It's it's all that stuff. It's the fact that that Omar Spates in overtime in Seattle in Week 16 didn't knock down that 2-point play. He was out of position. Then we could have been at home for this, so it could have been an entirely different situation. So too many moving pieces to it. Ultimately, it's our fault. It's the Rams' fault that they lost, not a specific side. And it says also here, and what do you plan this offseason, sign or trade for a pass rusher, sign or trade for a corner, safety, or just draft our needs? You never draft for needs. You just draft who the best player is on your board. And I do firmly believe that. And then you can get some wiggle room in there if like you got this grouping graded pretty similar, but this guy fits your needs. Like, okay, we'll go him then, like, even though we feel like maybe this guy's a little bit better, but he's not even going to play for 2 years, like, so there is like ways to move it around, but I would say that the Rams will probably get some fresh blood at pass rush, probably get some fresh blood at corner. And I would say safety probably largely stays the same, if I had to guess. Let's see here. Paul, do you think the Rams will keep and use their 2 first-round draft picks during this upcoming draft? Hard to say. Maybe ask me this again after free agency while we get a little bit closer to the draft, because it could be the point where we could be past free agency and look at our team and be like, we truly have no actual needs. Let's move these ones and try to get them for next year and try to see what we can do for that. Oh, man, that's heartbreaking. I see a tweet that comes in and says, Matthew Stafford apologized to Davante Adams for missing the Super Bowl. Oh. I want to hug Davante Adams. Is that weird? I just want to be like, you got this, dude. Next year, bro. You got it, man. Anyway, yeah, so I would say that we got to just kind of see where we're sitting at. Because, like, also, what if all of a sudden we get, like, we're creeping into free agency and stuff like that, and it's like, Tyler Higbee, Rob Havenstein, they both retire. Davante Adams, Matthew Stafford decide to retire also, and it's like, we have, not only do we have needs, we have many needs in very important positions. So yeah, we need these picks kind of thing. Let's, instead of trading out, let's use both of those to try to get into a top 5 pick, because we need somebody kind of thing, So, and I don't think we'd have a chance at somebody like Mendoza or anything, but yeah, it's hard for me to answer before we know who is sticking around, who is moving on, and who we add in free agency. But to answer your question right now, I do think the Rams use one of those picks and then move out with a different one. I think that we move out of that. I think it's 13. It doesn't matter to me. It's close in there. It's in the early teens. That's close enough for me. But I think that we try to package that in to try to find a way to get an extra one next year, which is where I do think the Rams would have a little bit more value personally in a one. And also, I was going to preface this too, but as we get into the offseason, I think people value draft picks way too much. I think people value them way too high. They're coin tosses all the way up and down the board. All right. Even in our own 2013 draft, or 2014, was that? We took Greg Robinson before we took Aaron Donald. Okay? Okay? Just keep that in your head whenever you're like, oh, what? We're not that high. It's like, well, Donald wasn't that high, actually. Steven Jackson, we took at 24. So, I mean, sure, it's high. It's cool to be as high as possible. You get more picks, more to choose from. But I don't think it ultimately matters, man. You can find people wherever. It's like the Rams didn't have a first round pick, but still somehow came out with Puka Nacua. Like, it's like, I don't know, man. Seems to work out. So there's that part too. I just think people they have way too much value in draft picks. They're not what people think they are. I think there's coin tosses, man. Next up here from Payo Time. What would you choose between getting? I can't read. I'm getting close though. I could sound it out. It says, what would you choose between getting a tour of silence, tour of SoFi from Puka Nacua where you can't talk, or hanging out with Sean McVay, but you have to be blindfolded the whole time for 3 hours? I'm very curious as to why you selected being blindfolded with Sean McVay. I wish I had more info on that portion specifically, but getting a tour of SoFi from Puka Nacua is probably my main bucket list item now. Not a silent one where I can't talk, but that'd be awesome, man. And there's also that version of the tour where you can go out to field level and throw around a football. Dude, if I'm throwing around a football with Puka Nacua on the SoFi turf, just know I'm totally cool dying right after that. If something happens after that, just know I'm fine. Okay. Don't call it a tragedy. Okay. Call it incredible timing. Yes. I don't know, man. But, yeah, easily Puka, man. Walking through those SoFi halls with Puka would be really nice. Let's see here. And then, this is a perfect one to end on, Payo. I'm going to go end on that one. This one's coming from Peter. It says, does Davante Adams come back? And if so, does he take a pay cut? If not, what receivers can the Rams sign to be wide receiver 2? I have follow-up questions for you, Peter. First of all, no, I do think that Davante Adams comes back. He kind of said that he'll call it when Stafford does, and I don't think Stafford does. Does he take a pay cut? No, and I'm curious why you would think that he should be asked. He led the NFL in touchdown receptions this year. I think it'd be rude to ask him to take a pay cut, but also don't think that would be on the table. I don't think that that's something the Rams would approach him and say, like, we'll keep you around, but only if you make less money. And then also, if not, what wide receivers can the Rams sign to be wide receiver 2? Davante Adams is that. He is that guy. Puka's 1, Davante's 2, 3 is Whittington. Below that, sure, there's definitely potential for openings, and I do think the Rams should add wide receivers to the room. But I have follow-up questions about why you would think a pay cut would be involved in a Davante Adams conversation at all for him to return to the Rams, and then also your wide receiver 2 thing. I've got follow-up questions on that. I feel like our top 2 are very clear and obvious. So wide receiver 3, I'll give you that one. Maybe it's a typo or something like that. I don't have those answers yet. And again, that's one, and I know this is kind of a Joe thing that people hate, but I gotta wait to see who's available, man. Like, there's going to be some surprise cuts. There's going to be some people that you're like, wow, he's available. That's crazy. He fits in perfectly with us. And we sign him and stuff like that. Like Rashid Shaheed, I feel like would be the perfect addition to the Rams. Do I think the Seattle lets him walk? Probably not. But it would be real sick to see him come over to us. And I do think he would fit in real nicely. But yeah, I've got follow-up questions for you. That's all. Payo time. We're going to end on this one here. It says, rank the following offseason events for Rams/NFL fans from the coolest to not cool. The options given: the NFL draft, free agency, owner meetings, training camp, preseason, mock drafts, and schedule release. I'll put that one last automatically. Mock drafts, I don't understand them. I don't understand the point. I understand that people like them. I get that part. But I don't understand why people put a lot of energy into them. I could give you, you know what? Screw it. Here's my mock draft. I think the Rams take Mendoza at 13. What are you going to do about it? Is that true? No, but show me one mock draft that's true, and I'll concede that mock drafts are awesome. If you show me one that got even 5 picks, right? That's why I hate them, because it's like, what's the point of this? What is the point? So Daniel Jeremiah thinks that we're going to take a corner at 13. Cool. What does that do? That means nothing to me, man. Anyway, I don't want to get on that rant again, because I do it all the time. So that one's obviously the bottom. Let's see here. From the coolest, I love training camp myself. Training camp is absolutely awesome. I'm going to say hold on. Let me go through this because schedule release is rather exciting as well. It's one of those anticlimactic things where you get it and then you like, or you wait, you get it. And then you're like, nice. Okay, now let's wait. Like, so it's one of those where it's like, cool. Now I know when we're playing and who, but that's also in like 5 months. So, there's that part. Preseason, pretty low on the list for myself. That's just practice. I think I would package that with training camp myself. Owner meetings can be cool. Free agency, super blast. And the draft, decent. So let me go from bottom to top here. Bottom is mock drafts for sure. I don't understand them. I don't understand why they're so popular. They don't really mean anything. It's just like some dude at ESPN thinks that we're going to take this guy. Sweet. So that's at the bottom for sure. Below that, above that, give me schedule release. And I think that I'm going to put schedule release here because it's one of those things I think that gets too hyped. Excuse me. Because of what I said. Is that you get the schedule and then you just like can't do anything about it. Like you can like start making plans and stuff like that, but it's like so far out that it's like, all right, cool. We know. But now nothing, now it's just back to this, so I'm going to put that number 2. After that, I'm going to package training camp and preseason into one. I do feel like those preseason is practice. Those are practice games that are televised and you're allowed to go to. Like that's all that is. I'm going to put those. Ooh, you know what? Give me owner meetings next. And I'm going to say that because of just the average fan not knowing or caring about the owner meetings, just waiting for it to be over and just be like, oh, new rules. Okay, whatever. So I'm going to put that. And then I'll go training camp preseason. Then I'll go draft because I understand the draft is rather exciting. It's a moment. It's a whole event. So I'll give it that. It is a whole weekend. It is a large scale thing. It is televised massively, and you get to see the first stage of potential, like likely Hall of Famers. Like there's at least got to be one from every draft class, I would think, right? So like you're watching these guys get picked, and then you get to watch their careers unfold, and I think that's really fun. It's crazy to watch people get like into the Hall of Fame who I watched be drafted. It's like crazy to me. And then on the very top, I'm going to go free agency, man. I think that is so much fun. You get the new league year starting, and then free agency begins right away. You start signing people. It's just so fun, man. You get to talk about all that stuff of like, dude, we got Devontae Adams. This is crazy. Like, it's like, it was a Stafford and Puka. What? Like, it's just, that's a blast. So I'll give it that, man. I do remember I was in old Colorado City in Colorado Springs when I got the notification the Rams traded Sam Bradford for Nick Foles. And I was like, oh, you got me good, man. This is crazy. And there's all sunshine the rest of the day, obviously. And so, yeah, it's just fun, man. I just had a great time with free agency. The league years, the new league year has always been an absolute blast, man. Thank you for your queso, man. I appreciate that. Thank you all for your quesos. Rams house next time. Got you. We'll get into our off-season schedule, but I'm not completely sure what that's going to look like yet. So stay tuned. We'll give details, obviously, as we kind of creep in. Tuna and the Sheriff. Make sure you check that out. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 a.m. LA time on the First and Tuna Podcast YouTube channel and Ram Showcase Facebook page. But Ram season has ended. We are getting into the off-season. What can you do about it, man? Sad times. Since I've done Ram Showcase, this is season 10, by the way, that we were going to be wrapping up here in March. One time Super Bowl. So, I mean, most of the time it ends with this emotion. Just saying, man. But that is going to do it for me, though. Make sure you follow on socials at Sheriff Joe Bags, at Ram Showcase, and ramshowcase.com. Patreon coming, so be on the lookout for that. But that is going to do it for me. I am Sheriff Joe Bags. This has been Ram Showcase on Sports War Radio. For those of you who aren't Rams fans, our thoughts and prayers are with you. For those of you who are Rams fans, thank you so much for watching, and go Rams.